Welcome to episode 24 of making a game in Corona SDK. I hope the construction in the background is not too loud, but you know, it is what it is. So today we're going to work on some procedural generation stuff. It's going to be light procedural generation because I know nothing about procedural generation. That's not true, but I know very little. Last week, just as a reminder, we left off with multiple saves so that you could, well, we're starting in the builder right now, but you start your game from the main menu. You can make a new game, give it a name, hello, and you can start your game, and then you can exit and load your game or a different game. And it's all saved and nice. It's great. So yeah, that's where we left off. And now what we're going to do is one of the next bigger features of the game, getting down to the last few major things, which is sort of procedurally generating these forest maps. So I'm going to share with you a bit about what my game in particular is about. I haven't shared much of it up until now. So, but you've probably figured some of it out. The basis, of course, is this farm game here, where you, well, that's kind of like one of the bases, where you grow vegetables a la any farm game, and you wait for them to grow, and then you harvest them. But the underlying story is that you are harvesting vegetables to feed your family, your grandma and your brother is sickly, and you are going to have to gather particular ingredients to help your grandma make various medications for your brother. In order to do so, you're going to have to find new ingredients. And how are you going to find new ingredients? You are going to venture into the woods, which your grandma is going to highly discourage you from doing, but she's also going to realize that if you don't do it, your brother will likely die, and that might be worse. I guess she thinks risking your life is worth saving your brother's. That's actually a really sad thought. It's not like that. It's more like she's like, we totally need this thing. Don't go into the forest. But we totally need this thing. But seriously, don't go into the forest. But we need this thing. So anyway, I'm not going to generate this forest like by hand and make all these levels of fun forest action with different enemies. Instead, I want it to be procedurally generated, because what I want is a few things that are particular to this game. They might not be what you want, so you might have to, you know, change some code if you are building off of this game. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have these forests procedurally generated, and I'm not entirely like what I'm probably going to do is make them navigable in some way, so that usually you can get out of them, but that is not always a necessity, because part of what is going to happen with this forest is that it is going to change. Now, the way it's going to change is that when you enter it, it may be a brand new forest every time. But if you go from one screen in the forest to another screen in the forest, it's not going to go and create a brand new forest everywhere, right? So you start here, and then let's say you went to an exit that was over here. We don't have any exits on this screen, but if you had an exit, it would take you to the next screen, where actually let's refresh. I can actually go make this happen, because remember, we have our nav. Let's give it a name. We're going to say go to test 1, save that. Then we are going to save this as a init, and then we are going to clear it and we're gonna throw down some lava in the shape of a freaky happy face. And then we are going to put a nav in. We're gonna have this one go to a knit. And we are going to save it. It's test 1. Oop. That was an accident. Let's get rid of that with some dirt. Anyway, save. Let's resave this as test 1. Great. Now let's go see if this hopefully worked. Oh, yep, we're already in the forest. And we can go here, which should take us to test 1. Excellent. Oh, that does take us back to nav. There's a slight bug. Oh, okay. Yeah, there was a slight bug where it didn't put us right here when we first entered, but that's fine. We'll figure that out. And actually, it may not be a problem as we get into procedural generation. But anyway, so when I come here, this level will be completely brand new. And then, but when I go back, this will be the same until such time as I leave it. And then I go back, and now it'll be brand new. So that's the way that my game is going to work. And the idea being that this is an ever-changing forest, and it's a forest full of mystery that you can explore. And what'll happen is, I'm not entirely sure about this yet. I haven't decided. It also might come down to how this programming session goes, or well, subsequent programming sessions with procedural generation, whether or not I allow for there to be certain places that you get to in the forest where it's a dead end, like this. You can't go anywhere. And you may explore the, depth of the forest that you can see, and then you'll have to return here and then go back in order to find a new forest. Also, what I think I'm probably going to do is there will be a form of, I guess, leveling that happens behind the scenes where as you progress further in the game, the forest that is accessible to you will become greater, which is to say there will be new items, new seeds, different things that appear in the forest that would not have appeared in the forest before. So that's going to be what we're building. So for right now, we're going to, so as you might have noticed, our current setup with this maze is that it is loaded from a file. And then you go here, and this is loaded from a file, and there's like bridges between these, blah, 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 blah. We're actually going to break all that with new tiles that are different. Now, I did want this because, one, I just wanted to write the code that allows you to build an actual forest that you've designed yourself, and I wanted the A-star pathing that allows for enemies like this guy who will actually hunt you down and attack you, versus just these guys that just move back and forth constantly. But that is not what the core of this game is going to be. So we are actually going to go through and change some of that around. But I'm also going to attempt to not get rid of any of this, because eventually we might want some things where, hey, you're going from procedurally generated level to level, and then, hey, you come across something that I've actually designed that is, quote-unquote, a boss encounter. It's also important to know that in this game, there is no fighting, really. So the game that I'm building, you will not be fighting. You will be basically running for your life in this forest. So it's all going to be about avoiding the various enemies that appear in this place. There might be some pseudo fighting where an enemy is following you and you lead them into a tile that then destroys them. That might be something. You never know. So we're just going to get started on this. So let's jump right in. So let's go take a look first to remind ourselves about how our forest is set up. Also, as a note, this might take more than one stream to get all built, so be forewarned that this might not all be here. Also, let's update this while we're working on our little to-do list. It's good to track your tasks. We're gonna build procedurally generated forest. And level progression. Oh yeah, when we have death of the player in the forest, that's already on there. Cool. So we got most of these things. Good. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna build procedurally generated forest. That is our to-do. Okay. So, what we want to look at is when we create a forest, we are going to load from a file a map. That's all well and good, but it's not what we want. It also occurs to me now, I'm going to be saving the design of these forests as they go out and out and out and out, right? So you might start, let's say we're, oh, I shouldn't have resized this. Let's say that we are, let's say each one of these tiles represents an actual entire forest. Well, you might start here and then you go here, 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 and eventually you get out here, and now we're keeping track of all these different full forest tiles through all the different places that you've gone. What I may do is actually have it where if you go far enough into the forest, you will essentially be quote-unquote trapped. You'll get to a point where the levels that you started with no longer exist. So if you go back, you are not going to find that the tiles are the ones that you formerly were in. So actually, let's do it as a demo, right? So like, let's say you started here and you went to this, and that's what it looked like. It was green, and then you went here, and this one's that, and then you go here, and this one's that. But then you keep going, and let's say you go through all these, and there are all these different ones, and then you get to here, and now you start going back. Well, you turn back, and let's say that we kept the last 4. Well, you go 4 back, and then all of a sudden, when you come here, it's that level. And now this one is this level. And now this one is this level. The thing is, what I may do is keep track of the quote-unquote exit that gets you back to the garden in some different way. Or I may randomly have it go into a forest tile. So this is kind of, this gets into the specifics of my game, but I'm letting you know ahead of time because that is what I'm going to attempt to build. And so the result is that, you know, if you're slowly going to be able to get further and further in the forest, and then once you get far enough, you're going to hit the problem of you can't backtrack because the places that you came from no longer exist, and that's story-wise, that's part of what the forest is. If that's not your game, you may have to do some more interesting things. Like, for instance, these are going to be built at random, and we'll talk about random seeds probably. A random seed is the idea that if you want a bunch of random numbers, like you say, and I don't remember what it is, I think it's like math.random or something, and let's say this returns, you know, random numbers that are 0 and 1. So it's like 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. Like, it's just a bunch of random zeros and ones, right? Well, now later you call it and it's like this, right? And these numbers do not match up. Well, what a seed does, which usually the seed goes here like this, and it's just a number, so you put in like 300 or something, whatever, is that it says that, all right, 300, we want this random set of numbers. And every time I call random with 300, it's going to start here, and the first number it's going to give me is a 1, and then it's going to give me a 1, and then a 0, and then a 1, blah, blah, blah. Like this, so that it's always the same. Which means that if you were trying to build this at random, you could then seed it so that it always gives you the same thing. So we could have the idea that you keep going deeper into the forest, but you go back and they're always the same. But we don't save those in memory, we just save the seed, which is a lot less data. And then it uses that for the random numbers that actually end up generating the level. But that's not what we're doing, so sorry for the tangent. So let's take a look. So when we have a map, we're loading a file. And that is not what we're going to do. So what I'm actually going to do, I think, is just wait for this to slowly load on my computer. We're going to duplicate this guy. And we're going to call this one bulb file forest. Actually, we're going to call it forest file so that it sorts next to forest. That will be helpful. Okay, that's to let us know that this is the version of a bulb forest that is loaded from a file. And now I can willy-nilly destroy all that code without worrying about losing the code that we've written. I mean, it's in GitHub too, but you know, I like to have stuff around in my repo so I can easily reference it. So this will just give us the ability to reference it without without having to jump into GitHub or anything. Okay, good. Saved. Okay, so what we want is when you enter, we need to keep track of it somewhere. And that's going to be in bulb game settings. Bulb game settings. Let's open this over here. Okay, so what I'm thinking about is that we are going to want to, we're actually not even going to need map names. But we're going to save those because that allows us to build custom maps. But let's do current map. Now I'm just thinking if we do want to have something where we just keep track of the Oh, I know what we want to do. We're going to go current map names. We're actually going to save them as different files, maybe. Yes, I think that's what we'll do. So yeah, there's going to be a limit to these, but these are going to be dot current map names. We're going to change this. We're going to call this generated map names. Okay. Great. Generated map names, great. There's something else I'm missing. Get game data, setup from data, this will go. Okay, generated map names. Get that from the data. Great. Okay, that's a starter. Now, what we're gonna do is I wanna look at the farm because I wanna look at when you enter the forest. Which is just in bulb game. Bulb game. And let's just go forest. No, just died in forest. Where do we handle going to the forest? Selecting plan, select a tool. Wait, that's tool, select a tile. Go to see navigation, that's what it is, okay. That's interesting. Just want to check that this is working how I think it works because it's been a while since I've taken a look at it. Okay, let's go to the main menu, load game. Yes, navigating, that goes to the bulb forest scene, that's great. And that's how we navigate, okay. So this is how we navigate to either the forest or the home. So there's something that I wanted to do, which is entered. Here we go. So we're gonna set bulb game settings to blah blah blah. What we're gonna do yes, we need a current map name. Yeah. Well, what I'm thinking about is that we're gonna set it to 1. So current map name is going to keep track of which map you are on. And actually, let's make it like this, I think. Let me think about this. Because we're gonna want to go out in all directions. I'm just thinking about this. So, because I'm trying to also think about how we want to store our generated map names and how we might keep track of the maps themselves. Because one of the things I'm thinking about is like how many maps do we keep track of, and do we kind of keep track of it like a snake, right? Like, so let's imagine that here, we're gonna clear this. Let's imagine that these are the maps, right? So you enter here, and as you go, you draw through here, and then as you keep going, these start disappearing, right? As these new ones keep appearing. Now, the question is, do I actually even have to keep track of their relation to each other? Like, this one's relation to this one? I don't necessarily think so, except that if I want one of these to connect with one of those, I would have to keep track of how they're connected. But at the same time, that would mean that this guy has to actually already have connections to the ones around it in some form. So it gets a little complicated. That kind of depends on exactly what we want to do with it. I think that what we'll probably do is we will keep track of their relationships to each other, so that you can have these go out and then you can have those connect if they have connections, and it'll be at random whether or not they have connections to the tiles around them. But as far as keeping track of generated maps, I think the deal is just going to be, yeah, that as you move out, we're going to keep track of a list of generated maps, but once you get over our max number of maps, we are going to stop keeping track of them. So a generated map, as a reference here, I'm going to put generated map is going to have a file name, and that's actually just going to be generated plus, we're going to call it map num. So it would be something like this. And then oh, can't return here. It's gonna, I'll have to add a bunch of comments. Anyway, a map num, and then we're gonna have to have its location. So it'll be like 1, 1 or whatever. And then we'll actually have the map, right? Okay, so that's the data that we're going to want to generate, something like that. So that's where we're going to start. So what happens is that when we reset our map, we're going to have a current map. We're going to call it current map num. And this is how we're going to keep track of the file. So actually here, what we're going to do is we're going to do this. Let's go down here. Add map name. This is a good place for it. Okay, so we're going to add a reset generated map. And we're going to do one and self done. So actually, yeah, so it generated map names. It's actually not generated map names. We're gonna call this generated map IDs, or generated map data, because this is what it's actually going to be. The actual map itself is not going to be here. The map itself is going to be in the file. So we will not have to worry about that. Okay, so let's just keep going. It's going to be generated map data. Generated map data. Great. All right, when we reset the generated map, we're going to set our current map to 1. This is also what we're going to do over here. Whenever we enter here, we're going to reset. So whenever you go back to the garden, the only place you can go from the forest. Ooh, actually, that's not entirely true. We're going to have to do this also in the home. The reason why is that in this game, if you die, you're going to go straight to the home. That's where you're going to be revived. And so we will also need to do this here. Okay, so we'll have reset our generated map, and by doing that, we'll have reset our current map name. or num, and then we're going to take our generated map data, and we are going to do this. And reset the generated map data, which is great. Okay, from there, what we'll actually want to do is okay, this is where we're going to add our map generation, I think. Here we go. And what generating the map is going to do is it's going to, let's just say it looks like this. It's going to have a map, and that's going to be something. Then what it's going to do is it's going to do map data equals, and that's basically what we have up here. Oh, where did it go? Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's go X and Y. Map data. So file name is going to be generated. Whoops. Generated with the map num added. Self dot current map num. Great. I don't know if we actually need the map num here, but we'll save it anyway. And the location, which is going to be X and Y. Okay, so the idea being that here's all of our data that keeps track of that stuff. Then what we're going to do is, oops, we're going to say self.generated map data, self.current map num. Yes. I'm just trying to think if there's anything wrong with the way that I'm doing this. If I would rather not have this be the map num and actually be based on the location. That might be better. There we go. X, Y. Generate map data is map data, and okay, so then all we have to do is go bulk game settings, save. I believe that's all we need to do is, oh yeah, save game, right. Oh, that's the player data. That's not what we want. We just want regular. Actually, I think what we want is the saving container. Because this just saves player data when you save game. But what we want is actually to save this data, which we currently do with the saving container, which Is there an example of that? Yeah, here we go. Oh, no, those are loading the file. Actually wonder now. Where are we doing that? Or are we not doing it at all? Did I change it completely? No, here we go. Yes. Yeah. There you go. When you add a map name, yes, this is exactly the kind of thing that we want to do. Because we're doing the equivalent of adding a map name. Although, oh, yes. That is not player specific. Right? Yeah, different save files, current save file, in-game. No, this, okay, so this generated map needs to go somewhere else. And I know exactly where else that would be. That needs to go here and save game data. Yeah, okay. Because this save game is associated with an actual save file, save game, and not just the basis stuff that's saved for the entire game that we've built. So that's what we need to do. And then we also need to do this. Generate map data equals generate map data. Cool. Okay, so now that that's right, because it's on a per save file basis, when we generate our map, yes, we want to do bold settings save game. And that saves generated map data. Ah, yes, but we also, oops, we also want to save our current map num. If we are restoring to the forest, we're going to need that. Okay. I really hope we get to the procedural generation part. Right now, we're just setting everything up so that our game doesn't explode when procedural generation happens. Okay, so we've got our current map num, generated data, blah, blah, blah. And we save the game. That saves the generated map data and the current map name. Oh, yeah. And then we increment. Oh, I don't think you can do this in Lua. There we go. That increments our map num, and then saving containers, save file, generated map. Interesting. Okay, so let me think about this. I'm trying to think of what we want saved in bulb game settings. We would want the map that we're currently on. So actually, yeah, this is fine. So what happens is if we're on current map 1, we're going to generate current map 1. And what I'm doing is generating it here, so it's generated ahead of time. It's before we actually need it. And then we are going to save that data, the file name. That is our generated map data. We're going to save that. And then we're also going to save the actual map itself, which would be here. This, I think that's right. Let's go check out our save file. Oh, nope. Data and then the file name. Okay, and so then we'll save our file to our generated map, and then current map +1, and so that way when we actually need to generate a new map, it will do so. Yeah. That sounds about right. Okay. I think that's good. We will see. Okay, so let's start with this basic generated map. So when we go into the forest, I have an idea. We're gonna put current map num on here as well. And we're not gonna use the default one, and you'll see why. So then we won't increment it here either. Okay. So when we generate map, this is going to be, our first one is going to be 1, 1. We're going to use 1 because Lua is 1 based. Even though, as a programmer, that kind of hurts my soul. Because what I want to do is be able to generate maps before you get to them. And I think this will allow us to do so. Yeah, we'll see. There's a lot to think about. But let's get to generating a map, because that's the interesting part. What I want to do is I think we're going to go map generator dot, nope, not dot, colon, generate map. So now we're going to save this guy, bulb map generator, save that, and let's just get the basic stuff. Okay. Yes, and we're going to call it bulb map generator. And there's nothing here yet that we want to do. Now, I don't know why I am doing this here. Ideally, we would do this once and never again. I should probably fix that somewhere. But we're not going to worry about it just yet. The same stuff going on everywhere. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, so this height and width are this. They're display content width. Display content height, right? Yeah, we're not doing anything special with them. Although that's interesting because we are, hopefully this isn't a state where it can load. We are cutting off this area at some point. And I don't know what that point is. Height divided by rows, width divided by 5 times 4. Okay, that's where we lose it. Yeah, see, we should only have to do this once, and because this is content width, this is content height. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put it up in bulb game settings, and eventually we're going to correct everything to use this. But not right now. So it would only be a problem if you could send your save file over to somewhere else where you could change your aspect ratio and screw things up. But that should never happen. So let's hope, cross our fingers, that it never happens. Let's just go rows and columns. Bulb map generator. Rows, columns. Great. Okay. And actually, let's go to the builder. Because the builder should have the basis of building a map. Because we do that at some point, at least with like clearing. Yeah, something like this. What we want is actually when you save the data, all you get is the save data from a forest tile. Which is, oh, you know what? So yeah, that's what we want to do. So we're going to generate a map. And then when we're done generating the map, we're actually going to get the save data and return that. So it's essentially like this. So what we're actually going to do, I think, is here, we're going to create a little forest tile. Yeah, we don't need a map name, really. But I guess we will, just for the sake of argument, we're gonna go, oh, I hate that that tapped out to there. Map dot map name equals map data dot file name. And now we're just going to need layers of save data. So what we want is we want to get our map layers. Okay, so we have map layers, and there's no display group because this is not a visual thing. Then what we're gonna do, set map layers 1 to that. This is gonna just be columns, and then map layers 1i, and then rows. Then we're gonna say forest tile. It's that guy. And what I wonder is, do we need to create it in order to get the forest tile? It does some tile view stuff. Tile view. That's all about the view, inserting the view. Custom nav data. Yeah, we weren't even going to create it with any special tile info or custom data, so it wouldn't even have those. And then blah blah blah, get save data, remove self. Great. So I think that we can skip this completely. And then what we just do is say map layers blah 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 equals forest tile get save data. Okay. The tile size doesn't matter because we're actually not using it, right? But we are using that somehow. For the X and Y, okay. Okay, so we're gonna need tile size as well. That's totally cool. This is where we maybe should have better separated the view for our tiles from the data. If they were completely separate, we could just generate tile data, and this actual like visual forest tile would just build this view element from that data, and the two would be totally separate. But this is fine. Okay, and then we're going to return our map. And then what I want to do is I want to think about the fact that our navigation, oh, where's our problem? Rows and nil value. Ah, yes, this is going to be c.rows, this is going to be c.mapWidth, this is going to be c.size. Also, when we generate a map, he said generated map. What I'm thinking about is that we are going to keep track of saved maps, but we're also going to have to keep track of the player's location. But the player's location will probably save in the player data. So this current map is the current map that we are saving, which is going to cycle through a max thing. So I think what we can do, because I don't want it to continually generate maps when we don't need it to. Current map num does not equal 1. If it does equal 1, that means, hey, we've generated one. We're on it. Let me be right back. Okay, I want to get to map generation, so let's start taking a look at that. Okay, so generated our map. I think that should be okay. Let's see what we got. Oh, I probably put in bad code because Lua is weird. Bulb game settings 157, then. Okay, that's the other thing. Let's go to our main. We're going to set this to false for right now. We're gonna load game. Let's go with 1. Okay, map generator, nil value. Oh, of course. We are map generating here. Here we go. Gotta include our file. Bulb map generator. Okay. We launch that guy. Line 12. I equals 1. For limit must be a number. Well, that's funny because I thought it was. I bet it's null because this should be self.rows and self.columns and self.size. Is it size or tile size? Size. Is that what we use for tile size? I don't know. Yeah, height divided by rows, gotta be tile size. Okay, bulb forest tile, line 15. Call to bulb forest tile. Gotta add the tile here too. Still not there. Bulb forest tile, line 54. What happened? Get save data. What is it missing? It's missing tile info and no value. Well, where does tile info come from? Tile info could be passed here. Or bulb builder dirt tape. So why is tile info no value? Huh, I wonder if that doesn't work for some reason and there was some weirdness where we hit it. Oh, are we doing it? Oh, yes. There we go. This line is the line that we have to call create because this annoying frickin' line is here where it generates this and we're not calling it. But that of course means that it would create a view element, which we do not want to do. So we're going to do this manually. Actually, you know what? Let me think about this. all that we're getting is tileinfo.tilename. That's it. And custom nav data. That's it. This is the save data that we want. We don't need to generate tiles at all. We can get rid of this forest tile. We can just put, let me get rid of that. We can just do this. And for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to start with this guy, dirt type. There we go. Dirt type is that. And custom nav data. We're going to imagine this equals null, so it's nothing. Okay, great. Now, here, what I want to know is, yes, if we refresh, we come right back. Okay, so forest. The forest takes us somewhere. We need to go look at now. Yeah, look, so it did create a garden data 1, which actually we can go to our favorite place, which is our project sandbox, to look at the files that we have built. Okay, generated map 1. Look at that. That looks like a correctly generated map if I ever saw one. I actually have no idea, but it does look like it might be correct. So let's find out, and we're gonna find out by sending you there. And the way we do that is figure out where the heck we set up our navigation. So this is in the bulb, the base map, and it's in get navigation. Get navigation, navigation tiles. Somewhere in our navigation tiles, here we go. So instead of forest scene, it's always going to send us to generated 1, which I think will be correct. Boom. Oh, failure. Module generated 1, not found. Module. Well, it's not a module. It's a save file. Oh, I think these are slightly different, that there's more to it. Navigation. Okay, navigation. Map get navigation. What does get navigation do? Navtiles.nav just returns this nav. If that exists, go to scene navigation with these options. Yeah, where is the ability to go to a map file name? I'm gonna go look at our bulb forest map. Let's go look at our navigation here. We don't have the same kind of navigate. Here we go. Tile in. Trigger location. Tile.nav. Yeah, because it should just be the file name. But see, we have to do it as a map file name. Interesting. does the forest handle navigation? It's been a while. Navigate. There we go. If it's a scene, do all this stuff. If it's not a scene, do this stuff. Okay, this is actually what we need. Something more like this. Select tile, get navigation. So that tells if it's navigation. But now here's the fun part. Okay, so if it ends with scene, then what we want to set the previous map name, map file name. Interesting. Okay, so there's two places that you're going to go from the normal game. You're going to go to your home, and you are going to go to the forest. The forest is always actually going to be the generated one file, and the home is going to be, yeah, see, I think that we can make this way simpler. Okay, let's do this. Let's say if navigation equals full home scene. Then here what we're going to do is we're going to put options up here. We're going to say we're going to go to the forest scene, and we're going to go to generated one because we're always going to go to generated one as our base. And if it's home scene, oh wait, no, whoops, it should be game. Actually, yeah, this should just be home scene, forest scene. We actually don't need anything else. That's really all we had to do, is change it, the map file name, to generated one, because that's our default. Then when you navigate the forest, we need to actually okay, I think that's gonna be the basis, but it's gonna get more complicated than that. Okay, so we go here, hey, it's generated one. Now let's go take a look at this. Yes, because we want exits. The thing is, when we define the exits, we kind of want to generate the levels that you could go to so that they exist once you actually try to load them. So really, we're going to have to get everywhere that this is attached to built right from the start and then saved, which is not ideal, but it's also not that big of a deal either. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's start by just making this simple random new stuff, right? Let's go random tile. And this is going to return. Let's go look at bulk game settings. How are tiles? Ooh, this is not what we want. Bulk builder settings, that's what we want. Okay, let's go take a look at bulk builder settings. Settings. And close that for now. We're gonna change that back before we leave. We don't need that. We don't need that. And mostly, I think this will get us from the game. This change in navigation will get us from the game to the first generated level. And then from there, we just need the forest. The forest is actually what will generate where else we go. So there's navs that go to a scene, like a bulb game scene. And then there's navs that take us to a different scene. How does this work? This doesn't look right. Oh, that's right. If it's a scene, it'll take us to the scene, whatever. If it's not, it'll take us to event nav. So that's how we're gonna build out this tile. So that's great. Okay, so got a dirt type. Okay, here we go. So types. So all we need to do is go builder settings. What is it? Math.floor of math.random times hash of bulb builder settings dot types. That's the length of types. Random times that. Oh yes, floor plus 1 because it's 1 based. Cool, I think that's what we need. And then so we can just put that in here. Tile. Well, that's not gonna work. Self random tile. There we go. Okay, so let's exit. Load game. Oh wait, we need to actually go back to the game. Okay, so now should have generated a new map. Why does it say garden data 1? That's not right. What is that a reference to? Oh, yeah, that was to tell us which one. How did I not notice that before? I just want to know when we're generating a map. Let's say print. Okay. Ooh, failed to load data from generated 1. Have you saved your net file? Meh. Well, that doesn't look right because we've definitely saved a file called generated 1. Oh, what? We called it generated map 1. That is dumb. Gotta make sure we are consistent. Okay. Generated map 1. Okay, load game 1. Okay, we're here. We go out. Okay, click. Hey, we're potentially in that map. Exit. Oh, I keep clicking exit. That's not what I want. We're gonna throw in a nav tile. We're gonna go map dot. Huh. Are the nav tiles on layer 1? I don't know. Let's go check out our forest map. Nav. And there are like nav locations, so I know there's a nav back location. Those are on layers. It's custom data. Okay, so this is gonna be 1. Its I is going to be what is it? Columns divided by 2. Map.floor, because we want it to be in the middle of the bottom. And then for the bottom, it's going to be rows. Something like that. Expected equals near return. Map generator, line 23. Oh, yes. Might want that to equal something. This is what we're going to do. Nav equals. This is the one that gets you back. We are going to fix that up later to be more actual random. And then this needs to be bulb builder settings. We're just going to go. We know what it is. It's nav. There's no nice way to do this without complicating the code unnecessarily, since we know what nav means and we know it's not going to change. And we'll have to fix it later if we do change it, so there you go. Okay, that's weird that it loaded the init file. Why is it not generating a map? I bet that is because, oh, we're doing that from bulb game settings. Generate a map. Generate. Reset, generate a map. If current map num does not equal 1, yeah, why don't we just do this? We're going to say the reason we're going to do that is so that we'll always generate 1. And then once you actually get there and we save that you're on a particular map, we will change things up. Dang it, that's not what I wanted. It should be generating a map now. Why is it not generating a map? Okay, we load 1. Great, we're out in the forest. We go here. What the heck? Entering game. And bulb game settings. Where's our generate? Sorry, I don't know that we're going to get to procedural generation. Unfortunately, when you're actually building a game, sometimes you have to do a bunch of busy work that gets things set up before you actually get to the point of doing whatever task you had hoped to do. That's it, is what it is. That's, you know, part of what's going to happen when I'm building a game live is that sometimes we have to do stuff like this. Okay, so entering game, reset, entering game. So current map num. Definitely. Oh, you know why? Because it's in our frickin' save data and it's getting reloaded. So we're going to hack this and go game data. We're gonna go. Wait a minute. That's weird. Oh, it's going to be in the player data, of course, so save data 1. And it's current map num. Yeah, for starters should be 0. I think that should be fine. Okay. Refresh. Okay, it actually generated a map. Great. Whoa, dog. This is crazy. Oh, you know what? There's like multiple players. Like this is probably broken in a million different ways. But hey, we were able to get out of it because there's a nav tile set to get out of it. This is exactly why you don't do completely random. Okay, so that's good. Let's do this. So local valid types equals it. Nope. This. Then we're gonna go valid types 1. We'll probably get like a few of these. Actually, let's do this. Let's go to the build settings. Let's grab all of our types. Okay, which ones do we want? We definitely don't want player, but we want tree. We do not want the enemies. Let's do a river, seeds, wall, lava, dirt. And then I do want enemy 3 because that one follows you and that might be interesting. We'll see. 6, 7, 8. Great. Get rid of all that jazz. And then what we're going to do is we are going to randomly select from valid types and we're going to go valid types, get a random valid number, and then select that out of our bulb game set or bulb builder setting types. Okay, so let's say we go here. Oh, you know what? It's not going to generate again. You know what? For right now, I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to get rid of the code that checks. Yeah, we're going to get rid of this. We'll return to that later so that we're not generating maps all the time when we don't want to be. But for now, we're going to let it generate all the time because we really want it to generate a freaking map. Okay, let me save this guy too. Okay, so we got a generated map. Great. Let's go check it out. Woo! That is not good. But it does have a nav tile that gets us out, so great. Oh, look at it. There's so many things going on. Okay, so now we're gonna do a little messing with probabilities. Maybe? Maybe not. Yeah, let's just try this. Let's cut this down to like a couple of more sane things. Actually, don't even remember what the heck 11 was. Why would I want 11? Let's just. Oh, I want the dirt, which is this. There we go. Okay, that's like a little more sane. Oh, but you can't walk through trees? That's really annoying. Okay, well, there you are. Let's get things that I know I can I can walk through. So, walkable river, 5. And I don't want seeds. Let's do 5 and 10. here we're going to go back to our valid types. And I'm going to duplicate that. So will just allow me to keep track of what types are valid. What were we going to do? We're going to do not 5. 9. Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at the blockable. That's why it's 5. 6 and 9. Oh, that's hilarious. 6 and 9. Great. Generate us a map that doesn't suck. Okay, there we go. Now I can walk through it. Awesome. Okay, so now we have the worst possible map that we could possibly have. And now what we're going to do is give it some random potential exit points. Now, what I'm trying to think is, how about we do exit points from basically 2 from the edge, like from here to here on the sides, and on the top and bottom it'll be here to there. Let me give the impression that these things are offset and they're not all completely uniform. Okay, so we're going to build our function for that. I don't know what I want to do as far as probabilities of, you know, having different locations on the different sides. So we're going to just go yeah. Actually, you know what? We're just going to do this. We're going to say has top. Bottom has left, has right. Okay, we have yeah, it's interesting because we are going to have, when you move from one location to another, we are going to have to tell you how you got there. And therefore, you have to have at least a way back, because otherwise, how the hell did you even move into that next tile? So yeah, we're actually gonna have to tell you exactly where that location is. So previous location, and we'll put interesting. Previous location is going to be a combination of the name of the place that you came from and which side it's on. So we're going to go here, we're going to go self, build random navs, previous location, location. One. It's x equals 1. And has left equals true. So actually we're gonna do this or that. Great. Hopefully all that should work. Equals columns, columns, columns. Okay, so this is gonna need to know rows and columns. I'm gonna move this down here because this is our example, and we're also gonna get rid of it because we should be able to generate a map that allows you to go back based on where you were. Interesting. Yes, we are going to have to tell you the location of your previous tile, which means we're going to need a little more help here. Tile, bulb game scene, previous map. Oh yeah, so I think we can do this nice little thing. We can do, say, nav location equals x equals event dot I, y equals dot j. Why did I change this? Okay, so then when we go to our forest, which I should probably have to go to our forest scene, look at our parameters, params, map file name, params previous, event dot params dot nav location. Where is that? That's up here. I'm gonna start breaking this down because it's getting long. There we go. Nav location. Nav location. It's great. It's actually, when we're generating our map, actually might not even need this. We actually might need it. We're gonna leave that there for a second because I think we might use it. Yeah, but set generated map. Let's go check out the bulb map. It's got a navigation tile. Okay, we're gonna use this. When we do this, we're gonna go self.map, which will have existed, and we're gonna say navigation tiles 2, because we already know what it is, and we're gonna say pass in the tile for forest nav. That way if we change it over there, that's all updated. Makes this a little easier. Let's go to game settings. We're going to say forest nav. We're going to say generate map. Name, X and Y. Generate map is going to need previous location. So let's add that here. Previous location. There you go, here. X equals forest nav dot I. equals forceNav.j. And that will give us access to where it came from. Great. Then in our map generator, we're going to have this previous location. Okay. Previous location. So what we want actually is for it to be on the left. We want to actually say that x equals the columns, because the previous location is the full columns. So actually we'll look at it here. Maybe if we can get into a thing. Nope. I'll show you that in just a second. We'll just finish this off. Okay, so for it to be at the top, that is our 0. So then that should mean y is rows. This one is y is 1. Ooh. We also want to know the previous location's location. So we'll get that in just a second. Put this here. Actually, yeah, this is probably fine. Columns. Okay, so if it's at the top, I want that to be 1. Okay, so this is going to show us that if it's broken, we're going to put in blah. Actually, we're not going to put in blah. We're going to put in previous location dot name. Okay. Now we just have to duplicate this for each of these. Of course, this is going to get more interesting later, but for now, we're going to keep it simple. Okay, so the top is at, can be anywhere in the columns along here, but it's going to be in row 1. Okay, and the bottom is going to be in any of the columns. Whoop. And it's going to be at row columns. Yes, it should be the opposite of this number, which I will explain in a moment. Nope, this is not columns, this is rows. And then this one should be in any row, and the left is 1. Great. And this is columns. Okay, great. Boom. Save. Relaunch. Don't fail me now. Okay. 27. Are we? Oh, wait. That's annoying. Missing something there. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay. Oh no, generation expect to be closed at blah blah blah. Bulb game 107. 107. Ooh, yikes. Oh, yeah. Comma. Also, let's fix our generation so that this works. So this needs to have previous location equals, and we're actually going to do this all nice and programmatically in case we ever want to call this reset map from a different place. So the location is going to be, I believe we want it to be bulb game scene. And so we go location. Okay. Let's relaunch, try it out. Okay. As the forest defaults to init, that's why we're always in that initial forest. Map generator line 27. Previous location is non-existent. Well, it comes from here, it comes from there. Bulb game settings, generate map does not have previous location. Yeah, so the map always defaults to the init, which is why we're here, because it's saved that we're in the forest, and then it's like, hey, where are you in the forest? Well, you got to be in the init. But hopefully this stuff will change that. Line 37. What's on line 37? Oh, map. Duh. We can just pass it in. Relaunch. Oh, I have a feeling this is not going to send us back where we're supposed to go. Nope. Does it say anything? No? That's annoying. Well, but hey, bright side, it's at the bottom where it should be. So that's good. So what I was trying to say is that for it to have a top, the previous location needs to be at the bottom. The bottom is defined as, because we start counting here, so there's 1 and then this is rows. So if its previous location had one of these and you come here to go to it, then it'll have one at the top. And then the same works for all the rest. Like if the previous location that you came from had one on the right, then it needs to have one on the left. And that's what all this business is about. So now the question is, why did we not get, oh, we put previous location dot name. It's not dot name. It's just previous location. Oh wait, previous location. Where do we get the X and the Y from? That's not right. Okay. What is it? What do we call it? So in game reset generate map, we pass bulb game scene as the location. So reset, that's location. Set as previous location. We're gonna put name. There we go. And we're gonna Control Z this. We're gonna save it like that. Hopefully that's right. Hopefully I didn't just undo something I didn't mean to undo. Ah, see, there we go. So it started us here because that's what's our last location. And there we go. Awesome. Okay, so now let's figure out what the heck we're gonna have to do. So my thought is we want to give this different location names. I think we're going to stop here for right now, because what we're going to do on the next stream, and we don't have enough time to really jump into this and make this work, is that on the next stream we are going to take these and we're going to give it a, oh, you know what's weird? So it should randomly have a bottom left or right, which it doesn't. It never does. Because some of these will be false, but then math random. What is math random? Oh, you know what? This should be math.floor, or it's never going to be. Right. Well, math.floor, put the thing here. But what we're going to do on the next stream is we're actually going to get into more of the procedural generation. I'm sorry that this one did not get into procedural generation, which I had hoped it would. Instead, it got into at least like the basis. We built up this thing. Interesting. Why are none of them here? We're going to go 0, 1, 2, 3. Maybe doing math.floor will only get you 1? Is that right? That doesn't sound right. Nope. Why are we not seeing nav tiles anywhere else? Because this should be false or... Okay, let's try something like this. True. I do want to solve this. But anyway, what we're going to get into next time is we have to set it up so that these tiles, one, show up, because currently they're not showing up. Hey, see, that one worked if I force it to be true. So why is math.floor random blah 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 not equaling 2 or 0 or 1? Well, the bottom is always the case, so why don't I just do that? It's really odd. I guess, I mean, it's possible that it's just randomly not hitting it, but that also seems very strange for it to not hit it multiple times. We are generating multiple maps. Hey, okay. It works. It's just seldomly, evidently. Oh, but it worked for the top. Which top is set to 1. Yeah, there it is again. Ahaha, okay, there you go. It is working. Just lamely. I'm curious if it can hit 0, but whatever. We're not going to worry about that. As long as it can hit 1. So a 1 in 4 shot. So we should have one of those pretty much every time. There we go. Anyway, so now that these are randomly appearing, we have to give them, right now, they send you back to the garden. We have to give them new tiles that they go to, but when we, or new like maps that they go to. But when we give them new maps, those are going to have to actually be generated, and I want to generate them ahead of time. So I'm going to take a look at figuring that out. But then we're going to get into procedurally generating this so that it's a more interesting map that you're on, instead of this very just plain water dirt one. It's actually gonna have walls and everything. So we'll get into that next time. Remember, like, subscribe, share, do all the things that get this stuff out there so that other people can see it. Also, do please share your projects. And actually, even if they are not built with this, I would be happy to see them. If you just want to share Corona projects that you're working on, and I can tell people about cool stuff that other people are making. Anyway, that's it for the stream today. Have a wonderful